So by now you've probably all seen the Switch 2 reveal trailer, and in that trailer we see the new Joy-Cons for the Switch 2 and how they're designed. And it looks like Nintendo didn't really change a whole lot in the basic design for the Switch 2 Joy-Cons other than just how it attached to the system. But did you know that there were some other designs that didn't make the cut? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So there were some designs that came out over at EUIPO, I think that's how you pronounce that, European Union Intellectual Property Office. And these have the design for the new Switch 2 Joy-Cons, but there were some more that showed up that I've not seen before. So these just appear to be designs that just didn't make the cut, so I thought it'd be fun to kind of look through these and speculate as to why they didn't make it. And when you see some of these, it'll be pretty obvious. First, I'll start with what I believe is the actual official design. There's a whole bunch of these registered, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see here, this pretty much looks like what we've seen in that trailer video for the Switch 2. And there's multiple registrations here, some of these dotted lines to indicate this is kind of looking through and we're looking at another piece that's solid here. And we have both the official left and right Joy-Cons here, and on that right one we have that square button that Nintendo did not put in that official Switch 2 reveal trailer, and they have yet to disclose what this is. And there's been a lot of speculation as to what this is about, and I'm not going to get into that in this video. I did do a separate one on that, so you can check that out on the channel. Now I do have a link to every design in the description below. There's like 20 of them, so I'm not going to go through all of them in this video, but I thought I'd start with this one here. And I think this is actually what the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are, but perhaps it's showing the inside of it. You can see sort of that trapezoid coming inside of the Switch 2 Joy-Con off of the little bump out there, the part that goes into the Switch 2. So I'm not sure if this is indicating the inside of the Switch 2 Joy-Con, or maybe it's indicating a different design feature. But I thought I'd throw this one out there, so if you have any ideas, drop a comment below and let me know. Now there was only one like this for the left Joy-Con, there was nothing like this for the right Joy-Con, which is why I'm thinking maybe it just might have been an idea that they didn't actually go forward with, because that seems to be how all the rest of these are. And now we'll get into the little more odd designs here. First we have this one, which I'm dubbing the One-Winged Angel, because it appears like they're trying to put a grip onto the side of the Joy-Con. And you can see it from the back here. It looks like it's attached to the actual Joy-Con, so this isn't the Joy-Con sliding into a grip. It's actually got the little nub on there for you to grip to. And I can see why Nintendo wouldn't use this design, because if you turn the Joy-Con sideways to use it by itself, that grip's going to be pushing into the palm of your hand, and that'd be pretty uncomfortable. This next Joy-Con design I'm dubbing Wide Load, because you can see it's wider than the current Joy-Con design. And I'm not sure what the purpose of this would have been, because I think I'd have to have my thumbs about twice as long to be able to reach those buttons or the analog stick. So that's the obvious design flaw here, but maybe if you turned the controller sideways and used it by itself, maybe it might be a little more comfortable because it's not quite so small. But still, the thing's so wide, it looks like a piece of toast, so I'm kind of glad they didn't go with this one. This next Joy-Con design I'm dubbing the D-Con, because it actually has a D-pad on it. Now we have a lot of third-party Joy-Cons for the current Switch that came out that provided this function. So I don't expect Nintendo to release a version like this. I think they like to have those individual buttons so you could turn the Joy-Con sideways and use it by itself. So that's the obvious design flaw here, at least from Nintendo's perspective, is that you can't use this Joy-Con by itself. Now this next one I dubbed the Hourglass, because as you can see it's kind of got a curve to it there in the center. Now at first I don't see a huge design flaw in this. If you turn the Joy-Con sideways, it would still work the same way as the current Joy-Con does. However, I think if you had it on the side of the system, it would feel kind of awkward because your hands would be feeling like this gap in the center. And then I'm not sure how it would work in the Joy-Con grip for the Switch 2, because that's going to be magnetic, and the Joy-Cons will have to come in from the side, so it might create something a little awkward there. And then if you look at it from an internal perspective, you'd have to shrink down that board inside of the Joy-Con, so you kind of lose some real estate there for components. So overall, I think they just abandoned this because it would just complicate things, create too many problems with the internal design. And again, I also don't know how it would feel against your hands when you're holding the Switch 2 in handheld mode. This next one I deem the mullet, because if you look at it sideways, you've got the party in the back where it's hanging down, but that party down there at the bottom looks like it'd be very uncomfortable to hold, especially with the Joy-Con turned sideways. So I can kind of see what Nintendo is trying to do here, trying to give you a little more real estate to grip the Joy-Con controller when it's on the side of the system. But then again, the design flaws when you turn that Joy-Con sideways, that mullet is going into the palm of your hand. And this next one here I'm calling the file index because you've got this protrusion going up. And I think what this is for is to be able to pry the Joy-Con off. Because if you notice, there seems to be no eject pin at the top of the Joy-Con. So I think this design was an alternative that I'm glad they didn't go with. For one, I could see that tab catching on things. It'd be very uncomfortable if you have longer fingers and you're trying to hit the shoulder buttons. And then of course, if you turn the Joy-Con sideways and try to use it by itself, it's just going to be biting into part of your finger. Now this last and final design I'm dubbing,
what we've got here is failure to communicate.
So you can see in this design, there's no communication port in the center of the side of the Joy-Con. So I'm not sure if this design was supposed to be used where the Joy-Con just communicated wirelessly back to the Switch 2. Of course, one of the biggest design flaws here is that the Joy-Cons could run out of battery while they're attached to the Switch 2 and basically go out and you've got to charge it up even though the Switch 2 still has battery. Now, the only reason why I could think Nintendo would try this design is if they were worried about that communication port getting damaged as the Joy-Con comes on and off the system. However, I think the final design that we saw in that Switch 2 trailer looks pretty sturdy to me. Although there were some people concerned about it getting damaged, I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. And that's all of the Switch 2 Joy-Con designs that were made public today. Like I said, all of these only had the left Joy-Con in the design, which is why I'm thinking these are obviously things they're not going to use, whereas that main design that we've seen already in the Switch 2 trailer did have the right Joy-Con as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Which design do you think was the worst? Could it be the one-winged angel with that nub protruding into the palm of your hand? Or what about the wide load where you're going to have some finger extensions to reach the button and an analog stick? Or the Decon, which I think is actually a pretty good design until you try to turn the Joy-Con sideways and use it individually. Or what about the Hourglass, where you'll have a gap in the palm of your hand when you're holding the system? And what about the Mullet, when you try to hold that Joy-Con sideways and it's biting into the side of your hand? Or what about the Folder tab, where it's going to get in the way of your finger getting to those shoulder buttons? And what about the failure to communicate, where you don't have a communication port, or for that matter a charge port on the Joy-Con in order to keep the thing charged up while it's on the side of your system? Drop your comments below and let me know which one you think is the worst. And if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. It really does help the channel out quite a bit. I want to thank you for watching and be good.